Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 8th episode of We Are Milton, a podcast brought to you by the City of Milton. I'm Inga Cushman, Administrative Services Director for the City of Milton, and with me today is our special guest, Bill Wilson. He's one of our alderpersons serving on our Common Council.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming today.
Glad to be here.
So I asked him here for a different reason, though, than talking about his love of being on our Common Council. But he has a very unique work experience that I think would be beneficial for us all to hear about and really just focus in on why Milton. Why did you choose to make Milton your home, your community?
Interesting kind of a story. My wife and I had a consulting business that we retired from not too long ago, but it was kind of a niche consulting firm. We worked with public libraries mostly, but libraries throughout the country. Over the roughly 30 years that we did the work, we worked in 45 states and had somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 clients. The why Milton question really comes down to the work that we did. We really could do from anywhere because our clients were remote.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of traveling, and we started the business and did the business for a number of years out of Madison. And Madison's a great place. I enjoy Madison a lot. But we started to kind of look at things in terms of affordability, in terms of access to services and so on. Really decided, based on many, many trips from O'Hare Airport back to our home in Madison, we'd get to about Janesville and say, boy, I wish we were home. And so one 4th of July, back in 1998, we decided to kind of go out and see whether there was a place that we might live that was closer to O'Hare Airport, because we flew mostly from O'Hare. At that time, the number of cities that you could fly to from Madison was fairly limited, and you were always doing multiple flights, so Chicago was a good choice. We ended up seeing someplace in Milton, came and looked at it the next day, and after a little negotiation, ended up buying the house that we've lived in for about 20 years.
Okay.
I think a number of things contributed to our decision. One really was competitive advantage, and I think that that's a really important one for small home-based businesses in particular. Our business wasn't one where clients would come to us, so we didn't need a location that had parking and those kinds of things.
Yeah, you did more on-site.
We were at home. We needed office space. We needed to be able to work on reports. We needed good access to broadband. We needed good access to transportation, those kinds of things. But what we looked at and what we found was that we could get just about double the house in Milton that we could afford in Madison. So we were able to get a larger house that was able to accommodate two offices, two office spaces. We were able to do so at an affordable tax rate because since property values were lower, taxes were lower as well. And those things start to translate into competitive advantage. As we were working, our competitors, many were located on the East Coast. Many were located in larger cities. And when they factored their prices for doing the work that they were competing against us for, that had to be reflected in the dollars that they put into their proposals. We were able to take that advantage and really turn that to our advantage by essentially being able to say we can do the same work for a lower dollar amount. So I think that there really was a competitive advantage that was available to us. The transportation thing, some people might say, well, why a place like Milton, no major airport here and so on. One of the truly great advantages was the fact that the Coach USA, the Van Gelder bus, was very nearby. So as opposed to driving to Chicago and parking for $35 a night in Chicago for a week, we could drive to Janesville, 5 miles away, park for $2 a night. Take really nice coach bus that dropped us off right in front of the terminal, and it worked very, very well, and I think it can work very, very well for the person looking to establish or continue a small home-based business that has a clientele that's kind of spread out.
Yeah. So you went to 45 different states and worked in a variety of different libraries, right?
We figure that over the years we got into somewhere on the high side of 1,000 public libraries, because one of our client groups was state library agencies. So over the years, I've been in probably 80 or 90 libraries in Texas, every single library in the state of Delaware, probably close to 100 libraries in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So that, lots and lots of libraries, met lots and lots of people. We did strategic planning work. We helped libraries in planning facilities. We did service evaluation and some organizational studies, things like that. And so met an awful lot of wonderful, great people. Learned a lot about governments, cities and counties, and probably can't count the number of presentations we made to civic organizations and so on. But it was very worthwhile. Made a very good business out of it, and Milton contributed to that.
Yeah. What was the most interesting project that you've worked on over the years?
Most interesting project? My goodness.
I didn't prepare you for this question.
Yeah, no, this is a
little off the cuff.
I think they'd fall into different kinds of categories. We did a lot of work with the community of Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
And there it was a combination of really liking the people that we worked with, and once you do a project well, sometimes you get invited back. So we did quite a number of projects for Youngstown. But it was a community with challenges, and it was if you know Youngstown, they lost about half of their population when the steel mills closed down. So radical change, really requiring a change. But the client was one that actually looked at reports and did something with them. So, what was really gratifying to us was when we go back and work on another project, they had already done some or much of what had been recommended.
That's always,
so that was very satisfying. On the other hand, I did most of the work on library facilities. It's always satisfying to go to the ribbon cutting and see something physical that came out of the effort that you did. We worked everywhere from the state of Maine to the state of California, from Alaska to Florida, and kind of everything in between. And so we had the opportunity also to kind of get those regional differences. To understand when somebody in the South says "bless your heart," that they mean something a little different than true blessings to your heart.
Yeah, it has to be interesting to see those different dynamics all over the country. I mean, just in Wisconsin, there's differences in culture and customs, and it'd be neat to be able to see those kind of play out throughout the country in different government organizations, different library groups.
Yeah, we went into Fargo wanting to make people talk like Fargo, like the movie, and
Yeah.
many people don't, but we found a few that sounded that way. And there were other folks that, listening to the folks that talk in Maine, of course, they thought that we were pretty funny as well. So as long as you approach it with kind of understanding there are two sides of every coin, I think you can find it to be very rewarding.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just a couple statistics that I was able to find. So remote work, telecommuting, telework, they're all essentially the same thing. It's working from a location other than a designated office area. In the State of the American Workplace Report, Gallup, it's a global analytics and advice firm, they say that the workplace is changing at an unprecedented rate. The report discusses the increase in remote working in the United States. So from 2012 to 2016, the percentage of people working remotely at least a portion of the week rose from 39% to 43%. In addition, the amount of time spent working remotely has also increased. So those people who are spending at least 80% of their time, or 4 days out of a 5-day work week, has increased from 24% to 31%. What's kind of interesting, too, is that the report states that the percentage of people working remotely less than 20% of the time has decreased from 34% to 25% in that same period. So, I'm kind of thinking that, well, maybe that's because people are moving from less time away from the office to more time away from the office, moving into that 80% category out of that 20% category. And, remote work isn't going to be ideal for every industry or every position in an organization, but in a situation like yours or someone else's, it might be something that works for you or for the organization or the position. And, Milton may be a perfect place for you to locate.
The statistics on where new jobs come from are pretty startling in terms of jobs usually don't come out of the mega industries. Most job development really grows out of small businesses getting larger. And, we've experienced some of that in Milton as well. The idea of Milton as a potential place for a small consulting firm that's a startup. The idea of being able to do work part-time. We did work part-time probably for, 7 or 8 years. My wife started doing the consulting work full-time before I did.
Okay.
So I still had a regular job, and at some point we got the courage to say we can give up health insurance and retirement plan that is sure, and take the leap of faith into saying any money we're going to make on our own. But that startup kind of opportunity for maybe we can create that incubator idea, and certainly the effort that Nate Rogers and the Gateway Project has provided in terms of incubator kind of stuff says this is an area that where we can see the development of new businesses, and small businesses grow into larger businesses. Yeah,
definitely. And, like you've said, Milton is a great community to be able to do that. There's spaces available, like with Gateway Properties and other areas that people could start a business. And if you're interested in starting a home-based business or a business in general, please contact the city and we can walk you through what that process is from a city perspective. And maybe that's a future podcast. We'll have Al, our city administrator, come on again and give an overview of what those steps are.
Sounds great.
Is there anything that you think that people should know about Milton if they're thinking about locating here, either for to live or a business or anything like that?
I guess the final thing that I'd say speaks to quality of life. I mentioned that we worked out of Madison for a while, and you associate Madison with a good quality of life. The nice thing about Milton is its proximity to other things.
Yes.
For a while, I worked in the Milwaukee area. We still go to the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. It's not that far.
Yeah.
We go to a Sunday matinee. have dinner and come back again. By the same token, Chicago's not that far. So we've got all these opportunities. We can go to the Overture Center, and on top of that, there are in-town kinds of things that really lend to the quality of life as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a librarian and library consultant, I'm real proud of the library service that we have in town. But we've got great parks. We've got great community organizations and events. We've got history here. We've got the opportunity for. We have a National Historic Landmark. We have musical events in town. That sense of community. You really don't lose something in way of quality of life, and I think you gain a lot as well in terms of quality of life by working out of a small community.
Definitely, I agree with that. Anything else?
I think that's it for me.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions for Bill, his contact information is available on our website. Or if you just want to talk to him about being an alderperson, I'm sure he'd love to give his perspective. You were just elected in April of this year, right?
That's correct.
So how has your first few months been?
I've enjoyed it tremendously. I kind of figured that I would, but I've been learning a lot. I'm on the Joint Fire Commission, for example, learning more about some of the protective services and fire service in particular by being there. So it's always good when you take an old dog and teach them some new tricks. So I'm trying to learn some new tricks.
Yeah. Well, and if anyone is interested in running for alderperson for the upcoming April election, then you can contact City Hall or City Clerk Leanne Schrader. She has that information available to help you through that process of getting your nomination papers done and anything else that you need to do to be on the ballot.
There are also other ways to participate. City committees and so on. I was on the library board for a number of years beforehand. My wife has been on the planning commission and earlier on the parks board. So there are opportunities to participate and to contribute even in non-elective kinds of offices.
And if you are interested in participating in a committee, commission, or board, there's a form available on our website that you can fill out, and our mayor will be making appointments again in April, but there are 2 vacancies available right now that we're planning to do appointments for in January, and that's an alternate on the Zoning Board of Appeals and a position on our Tourism Consortium. So if you'd like additional information about those positions, please contact me at City Hall.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, and thank you, Bill, for taking the time to come and talk to us today about your experiences and why you chose Milton to call home. And if anyone has any questions about anything we discussed, again, feel free to contact me at City Hall or Bill.
We are Milton.
We are Milton. So, do you have any future topic suggestions for us?
I think what you mentioned in terms of the business incubator kind of stuff is a really interesting one. I was interested when I was running for the council and got my interview with the Janesville Gazette and started talking about economic development. They really didn't know an awful lot. The editorial board of the Janesville Gazette had less than full information.
Oh, okay.
And about exciting things that were going on. And I think that it's always good if we can present that positive face and attract attention to say, come to Milton, take a look. Do your own evaluation. And I think if you do your own evaluation, you're going to be well pleased.
I think so too. So our podcast is available on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Facebook. And I post a video version on our YouTube channel as well. So, in closing, until next time, we are Milton.